Good morning to the Board of Directors for Metrolinx. This is our quarterly report, and we're going to be delivering all kinds of good news about transit and transit progress since many of you have been at home as a result of the pandemic. But we're starting to come out of the pandemic now, and things are looking up. People are getting vaccinated and coming back to transit, and that's all good news. So we're going to have some interesting reports and to hear from both our chair and our CEO and all of our executives. And at the end of the meeting, if any reporters have questions, please give me a call. It's Anne-Marie Aikens. You're all familiar with me and have my contacts, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. But enjoy the meeting. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's meeting. As we start this morning's meeting with our land acknowledgement, I want to say that this month we observe National Indigenous History Month. We acknowledge the rich history and valuable contributions and our duty as a public sector agency to consult with Indigenous partners as we work to deliver on our mandate. Let us take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, in particular the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. We acknowledge that Metrolinx operates on these lands and has a responsibility to work with the original keepers of this territory and the many diverse Indigenous peoples living here today. Thank you. I'll now invite Barclay Hancock, Chief of Payments, to lead us in our safety briefing.
Great. Thank you, Don, and thanks for the opportunity to share a safety moment. Recently, I've had a couple experiences around electric cars as a pedestrian and cyclist. My family lives right in Toronto, and obviously pretty dense streets, and in most of the neighborhoods. We're big walkers, we're big cyclists, and would say we've had a couple close calls with e-cars related to taking for granted. You typically hear cars coming. Obviously, e-cars are increasing in numbers, and certainly while considered more environmentally friendly, they can sneak up on you sometimes. We've certainly long taught our kids to stop, look, and listen whenever crossing the street. And I think what's really struck home is how important the look part where previously we might have relied on the sound of cars coming more so. So certainly been a conversation in our household with our kids, and frankly made myself a lot more self-aware around this. The other dynamics certainly in terms of biking and really knowing what's behind you. So really my message, make sure you're even more careful crossing, moving out in the street and parking lots, and obviously as a cyclist, e-cars can certainly very much sneak up on you. And for any of those driving e-cars, perhaps be more conscious of this as a driver. So thank you.
Thanks, Barclay. The following correspondence has been distributed to our board. First, we have a letter from Rosemary Waterston on behalf of Lakeshore East Community Advisory Committee dated April the 2nd regarding community consultations on the Ontario Line project and related public deputations and municipal councillors' presentations at the March 30th Toronto City Council Executive Committee meeting. We had a letter from Chris Williams dated Go Expansion full business case. We had another letter from Rosemary Waterston on behalf of Lakeshore East Advisory Committee dated June 19th regarding the Ontario Line project, specifically the elevated section between the Don River and Gerrard Street. And lastly, a letter from Save T Park, dated June the 10th, 2021, regarding the selection of Thorncliffe Park as the site for the maintenance and storage facility for the Ontario Line project. I also want to note that so far Metrolinx has received more than 280 pieces of correspondence in support of the light rail transit in Hamilton, and we continue to receive more every day. Today's agenda includes several important and exciting items. In addition to our usual quarterly reports, we'll have presentations on the 2021 Metrolinx annual report, the progress we're making on our capital projects, an update on our customer campaign to welcome riders back, as well as details on a level crossing photo enforcement pilot that we've begun. Before we get into these discussions, I'll invite Phil Verster, our CEO, for an update. Over to you, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Before I get into my report, I want to recognize that for the month of June, we celebrate National Indigenous History Month here at Metrolinx, and we honor the Indigenous peoples across Canada. We honor their rich history, their heritage, diversity, and ongoing presence in our society and amongst our workforce. The recent discovery of the remains of 215 Indigenous children on a residential school site has saddened all of us, all of the country, tremendously. It's even more disheartening to receive the news yesterday that another unmarked mass grave was found in Saskatchewan by the Cowessess First Nation and the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations. Even as we recite the land acknowledgement, as Don has done at the start of each of our meetings, we are aware of the ongoing iniquities and impacts of colonization, as well as the importance of truth and reconciliation. This month, we also celebrate Pride, bringing together communities and allies to celebrate diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. As we commemorate this month with the Pride community, we also recognize acts of discrimination and violence against this community and commit to work towards a more inclusive future. And so we honor these groups, and in Metrolinx we've made very deliberate steps to continue to create safe spaces and opportunities for our employees to learn, to listen, and to share their experiences. This is a key part of our strategy to create an empowered workforce, an engaged workforce, and to ensure that everyone can be their very best when they come to our workplaces. The upcoming quarter of our business year holds much promise as we continue to see improvements in ridership and a very clear sense from communities and riders that they want to move about the region and rejoin transit. We have plans in place to make adjustments to our services as we welcome back our customers. And in a few moments, Sharon Berniering, our Vice President for Brand, Digital and Product Marketing, will share details on the return of riders to our trains and buses in our Let's Get Ready to Ride initiative. Our Safety Never Stops program also continues unabatedly. We've implemented more than 65 COVID safety measures over the past months, so that our customers and our employees can always be confident that we are ensuring their safety and comfort. We're also very excited to launch this weekend the return of weekend GO services to Niagara. And in addition to the return of the service, we plan to continue to increase services throughout the summer and fall, bringing people back onto our railway system and in our bus system as the province reopens. As you may have seen last week, our Transportation Minister, Caroline Mulroney, officially opened Bloomington GO station last week, and we will start services from June the 28th. This is a very exciting milestone for us and a fabulous new station added to our network. And back in March, we conducted our first vehicle testing at the station. And as part of our GO expansion program, Bloomington Station will provide customers with more service options on the Richmond Hill line. As we continue to build a much more connected network for the region, Bloomington also features direct connections for our bus services. And earlier this month, we advanced our Transit-Oriented Communities program with an announcement by our Minister's Office of the proposed East Harbour development, which would be a significant node. We refer to it as the Union Station of the East, and a significant node for the Ontario line as well as for Lakeshore East. Again, making a significant number of connections and transfer options available to our customers. The proposal also includes a range of residential space and community amenities surrounding the multimodal hub that would bring together all of these GO Rail and Smart Track services, the Ontario line, and a future TTC streetcar extension. I also want to report that we are preparing to start early works construction on the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension project. So we are continuing steady and consistent engagement with the community. We recently held a virtual town hall to share the latest information about the project and to seek feedback on the elevated guideway. This was our best attended open house for the project yet, attracting 610 participants throughout the course of the evening with a lot of positive feedback for the panelists. We're also continuing our engagement and consultations with communities along the Ontario line alignment, as we do on the LRT corridors and across the entire region. It's really important that we explain how we appreciate that building new subways within a developed modern city can be disconcerting and also disruptive to those communities that are directly affected. We go out of our way at our public consultations to acknowledge the fact that we understand the whole construction process can be very disconcerting. We are approaching these communities with an open consultative approach, focusing on how to establish these solutions and how to implement these subway solutions in the best possible manner. These solutions will bring huge community benefits, which we are always open to recommendations and find with the community what these opportunities for community gains could be from the construction, but also in the long run, these transit projects bring significant economic benefits. This is a really exciting time for transit, and we look forward to making more strides in the region's recovery during the aftermath of this pandemic. And now, if I could, before we move on to our next item, if we could move and do a few recognitions and commend some of our employees who continue to go above and beyond to deliver exceptional experiences. For living our safety charter promise to keep everyone safe and living our corporate value of serving with passion, I'd like to commend Mark Austin, our Senior Manager for Track and Structures. Mark received a report about a tree that had fallen on the tracks along the Barrie Rail corridor. And even though this isn't his job description, he quickly responded to lead the removal of the tree, resulting in reduced delay and a reduced impact on our train service. I think Mark packed his own saw, electric saw, in the back of his van and made his way to site to do that. Mark, thank you for your responsiveness and thank you for the initiative. We're indeed privileged to have employees like you, quick to rise to a challenge and to offer help when a situation requires it. Well done, Mark. Fatih Kalik is one of our transit safety officers, and the board may recall that Fatih's name continues to come up and pop onto our agenda, always for the good things that he's doing. Last year, he led a response team that successfully de-escalated an incident that involved hundreds of protesters who were damaging property and putting items on the railway line. In April of this year, Fatih was instrumental in saving a life after he performed CPR on an individual who was found in a washroom at one of our stations. The individual was barely breathing due to what seemed like a drug overdose. Fatih, you're an exceptional employee, and on behalf of all of us here at Metrolinx, I'd like to say again, big thank you to you for all you have done and continue to do to ensure the safety of the people around you. And that same thanks I'd like to express to all of our officers in our organization. I'd also like to recognize Dana Ingrao, one of our operations controllers at the Network Ops Center, and Keely Smith, one of our bus drivers, and other members of the NOC team as well. Without knowing the full details or severity of the circumstances at the time, you helped to get a woman safely to a shelter by taking her directly to her end destination. Sometimes this type of quick judgment and quick action makes a big difference. And when she thanked you, I know she said, "Thank you, you saved my life tonight." And I know that'll stay with you for a long time. And I thank you for taking the initiative and for caring enough about our customers to help in circumstances like this. I think this sentiment and what you do is like the heart of our organization. We are more than transit. We are more than just a journey. We truly are about serving and being part of the communities we serve. On this note, I also want to recognize the team that helped make the dreams of a very special young woman come true. Some of you might have seen the story of Rumina Asrani last month. Rumina has Down syndrome, as well as several other serious medical conditions, and she is currently in palliative care. But before she got ill, Rumina loved to take the GO train, and when her family reached out to ask if we could help her to realize her dream of actually operating and driving a GO train, we could not say no. And I'd like to thank Anne-Marie Aitkins. Anne-Marie is phenomenal in so many parts of our business, who was in touch with the family and brought the request to the rest of our team. To everyone who then worked together to coordinate Rumina's visit, including station staff at Up Express, Transit Safety, and our Alstom engineers, a huge thank you. With your help and your willingness to go above and beyond, we were able to make Rumina's wish true, and she drove a train. I also want to thank all of the employees who came out in support of our vaccine clinic at the Guildwood GO station in Scarborough. We partnered with the Ontario Ministry of Health and the Canadian Red Cross, and we were able to vaccinate more than 200 people. Finally, I want to share that Metrolinx was recently recognized with 2 awards. We received a Building Diversity Award from the Toronto Community Benefits Network for the work we do through our Community Benefits Program and the opportunities this program makes available to those communities where we work. Thank you to all our teams who work to deliver this program to our communities. Also, thank you to our contractors. In this sense, clear recognition of the work that Crosstown Transit Solutions have done on the Eglinton Crosstown is in order for the excellent work that consortium has done with regard to community benefits. Secondly, our It's Happening campaign, marketing campaign was also recognized by the Advertising and Design Club of Canada with a Silver Award in the Public Service Film category. The first phase of the campaign was launched last year and was exceptionally successful. We're celebrating the awkwardness of our teen years and how transit goes through awkward phases as well. This campaign underscores that our project milestones and customer experience enhancements are proof that change is happening, and it will all be worth it in the end when we have completed all of these critical assets that make up a world-class transit system. Congratulations to our Chief Marketing Officer, Mark Childs, and his team for leading this campaign. And we know that our customers and residents want information on the projects and want to see progress. And this is one of the ways that we do that. So thank you very much for consideration of those comments. I'd like to hand over to Jennifer van der Valk and Jennifer Gray to talk about our 2020-2021 annual report.
Thank you, Phil, very much. We're really pleased to be here to share our annual report today, and I appreciate the opportunity to briefly highlight some of our key non-financial achievements over the year before I hand it to our CFO. Our commitment to keep everyone safe this year took on a whole new meaning. As our CEO identified, we implemented over 65 COVID safety measures to help keep customers safe throughout the pandemic and as we welcome them back. These efforts can be seen in our satisfied customer KPIs with exceptional satisfaction scores across Go, Up, and Presto. And throughout the year, we adjusted service based on customer demand and behavioral analysis. Our on-time performance exceeded our target of 96%, averaging 98.7%. We also ensured continuity of our business by supporting our people. We invested in the safety and well-being of our frontline staff who helped us to deliver the Lifeline service throughout a pandemic, and also accommodated up to 50% of our staff to work remotely to ensure productivity of all of our business areas. Just as we maintained that Lifeline service throughout the year, we also persisted in the delivery of our capital program. To support this progress, we pivoted to virtual open house sessions and public meetings to ensure ongoing engagement with communities and with our stakeholders. We delivered 18 of our capital project milestones, including the opening of Bloomington Station, the Union Station bus terminal. We published our Ontario Line preliminary design business case and our YNSC initial business case. We executed 3 letters of intent for our transit-oriented communities program and conducted our first light rail vehicle testing for the Eglinton Crosstown. It was quite a year, and we are so excited for the many milestones to come. And with that, I will hand it over to Jennifer Gray, our CFO, to topline our financial results.
Thanks, Jennifer. The pandemic certainly impacted our 2021 financial results, and despite these impacts, both our operating and capital results reflect a successful year. As we're all aware, ridership and revenue were hit pretty hard as a result of the pandemic from stay-at-home orders and closures experienced across the province and in particular in the GTHA. Revenue and non-fare revenue, excluding recoveries from third-party construction, were only $106 million this year, down from $706 million last year. Expenses were down compared to budget, but not to the same degree as revenue, as we continue to deliver on our mandate and offer Lifeline services, transit services during the pandemic. Given the significance of these impacts, the management discussion and analysis compares our financial performance results to our Q1 forecast as opposed to the budget, just given the significance of the change kind of as a result of the pandemic. Despite the unprecedented lower revenue and ridership, Metrolinx achieved a favorable year-end position with a surplus of $188.9 million compared to our Q1 forecast, or about $47 million surplus compared to our Q1 forecast if you exclude the potential subway write-off related to work carried out by the TTC before the subway projects were transferred to Metrolinx. We received additional operating subsidy mid-year, No additional subsidy was required from the province at year end. In fact, it's expected that we'll return over $40 million to the province at year end. This favorable position could not have been achieved without the hard work and resilience of every business unit within Metrolinx, developing innovative ways to reduce costs and generate revenue as part of organizational-wide business improvement plans, which generated over $135 million in net savings. We continue to deliver and advance on our capital program. We spent about $3.9 billion last year, which was about $380 million over our budget, all in lockstep with provincial approvals and primarily tied to advancing our subway program. The financial statements were delivered to the audit committee and reviewed on Tuesday. And we are pleased to report that we have a clean audit report from PwC, our external auditor. And with that, I'll turn it open to questions from the board.
Okay, anybody have a question they'd like to ask?
Don, it's Brian. No question, but just to reinforce the point that Jennifer has made, that the great work of the management and the staff, all the staff of Metrolinx, in delivering such positive results in what was an extraordinary year, are themselves truly extraordinary.
Thank you, Brian. Okay. There's a motion required on this particular.
So there's a motion required on this item. I'm just getting us to the motion. Desna, can you read it out for us, please? Okay, the motion is that on recommendation of the Audit, Finance and Risk Management Committee, that subject to the comments received from the Metrolinx Board of Directors and the Audit, Finance and Risk Management Committee, the Metrolinx Annual Report for 2021 be approved, and that audited financial statements for Metrolinx for the year ended March 31, 2021 as appended to the 2021 Annual Report be approved, and that the CEO submit the annual report to the Minister of Transportation in accordance with the Metrolinx Act dated 2006, and that the CEO submit the approved audited financial statements to the Ministers of Finance and Transportation. Can I get a proposer, please?
I'll move, Phil.
Thanks, Sylvie.
Yes.
Second, Phil.
Thank you, Michael. Any members of the board opposed? Everyone in favor? So thank you very much. So the motion is passed. With that, we move on to Matt. Can we do the capital projects progress, please?
Absolutely, Phil. Thank you very much. We could move straight to slide 2 for Go Expansion. Just to give a feel for the huge amount of work that's happening out there on the network. Currently, we've just got a slides covering Go Expansion, rapid transit and subways, and a few pictures from each of those program areas. So within Go Expansion, top left here, you can see the Steeles Avenue underpass. This is part of the our P3 Stouffville P3 project, which includes upgrades of 3 stations, Agincourt, Unionville and Milliken. This grade separation alleviates congestion at a level crossing that's been in operation for 150 years. I'm very pleased to see this picture here because this was achieved on April 30th and is a culmination of several years of work in a very technically complex area with a hugely demanding element of this project. So great to see this happening now. And at completion, this will expand Steeles Avenue from 4 to 6 lanes, new sidewalks, separated cycle tracks, and updated streetscaping. On the top right, we can see Union Station East Bay Teamway, which was reopened on May the 26th. has access to platforms and an access to the new Union Station bus terminal, provides a protected walkway for pedestrians from Front Street down to Lakeshore Boulevard, and renovations here included new floors, glass tiles, a new ceiling, and new Metrolinx systems. And bottom left, we have the Rutherford GO station. This is another one of our P3 projects, and it includes a new station building integrated into a 6-story multi-level parking structure, providing 1,200 net new car parking spaces, a new side platform and reconstruction and reconfiguration of bus loops, parking lots, passenger pickup points, pickup and drop-off points. A huge amount of work, huge amount of progress at this location. And in the spring, this moved to from heavy civils and heavy building construction towards interior fit out and finishing works. So great progress at Rutherford. And in the bottom right, one of our non-P3 projects, Lincolnville GO Station. We have station facilities being relocated to a new site, a new station building, 12-car side platforms, bus loop and bus bay, and 672 parking spaces. And this contract was awarded last summer, and as you can see, well into construction now, pushing forward for completion in 2022. And just to mention, Phil touched on this, as did Jennifer, I think, but a couple of things that didn't quite make the cut from the photographs. Bloomington Station opening to the public at the end of the Richmond Hill line next week, huge achievement for the team. Highway 401, incredibly complex tunneling project underneath one of the busiest road intersections in the GTA, pushing for completion in July, a huge success. And Davenport Diamond, great separation of 2 rail networks, coming out of the ground, and concrete pours happening for support piers now, and that's fantastic to see that job with some real momentum. Robert,
sorry, Robert, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And firstly, Matt, congratulations to the Capital team and all the support that we received from Infrastructure Ontario on both the pace and scale of the projects, including early works. Just congratulations in a very challenging time that we've been able to accomplish so much so quickly. My question relates to Union Station. Can you just speak more broadly to the work that's being done there, and anything that you want to add around procurement innovation?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Fantastic question. Yeah, so Union Station, we have the first Pure Alliance being delivered in Canada to deliver the Union Station Enhancement Project. It's a $500 million program, and it's heavily into what we call the Alliance development phase with our partners, making great strides through that development phase and very innovative approaches to design and planning of the construction work. We're very, very enthusiastic about both that contract and the contract model, and it's showing some real progress over the past few months, and we're looking to get into the implementation phase towards the back end of this year.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Any other questions?
Matt was going to step on to just quickly look at LRTs as well, if possible.
Okay.
I'll do it very quickly. I know we're tight for time, and I'm going to talk about this stuff all day. So moving on to slide 2 for light rapid transit. Just 3 projects to talk about here in the slide. So top left, you can see a recent drone photo of the Finch Kiel intersection, which is where the Finch Rapid Transit project dives underground to meet within a change station at the TTC subway. A huge amount of work happening there, piling works complete to one side, and other piling works in the Finch Kiel intersection continuing through for the next 2 months. Elsewhere on the Finch job, the maintenance storage facility, huge amount of work happened at the MSF, and that is now ready to receive the first vehicles, which is a huge milestone for Finch, and a massive amount of work happening in the streetscape, preparation for the new track. The top right, the Hurontario Rapid Transit job. This picture is at Port Credit, and it's preparation work for a push box structure which will be driven underneath the GO expansion, the GO network Lakeshore West corridor to separate the rapid transit from the GO network. Work's progressing very well on the ground now at Hurontario. Very exciting pictures at the bottom here for Eglinton Crosstown. This is the vehicles delivered from the maintenance storage facility to the eastern segment of the line for testing. That happened on May the 25th. We now have 6 vehicles in position for testing. That testing will be carrying on over the summer of 2021. Huge effort by both the project delivery teams, the community team, stakeholder management and safety teams to make sure that testing can happen whilst minimising disruption and ensuring public safety. So very exciting milestones on rapid transit. And then finally, and very quickly, for subways, and Phil touched on the first one of these. So if we can move on to the subway slide, Chris, thank you very much. So top left, we have the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension Tunnel launch site. This project, so the tunnel project, the advanced tunneling project for Eglinton West Extension, reached financial close on May the 20th, 2021. As you can see, straight into the swing of construction, incredible speed from financial close to hitting the ground here. You can see activity here, including utility relocation, site survey, setting up monitoring equipment for environmental testing, building access roads, and mobilising piling rigs to start construction of launch shafts. On the top right, schematic there showing Exhibition Station, which is the first construction contract being issued for the Ontario line, part of a series of design bid build contracts that will issue while we're procuring the P3, the main P3 contract for delivery of this huge project. Exhibition Station is first cab off the rank. Construction tender was released in May, and we're aiming for construction start in September to deliver a new overhead concourse station, new passenger tunnel, extension station entrance, pedestrian bridge, and basically separation, better access into the exhibition station and enabling works to allow us to construct the new station and the new station platform. And finally, I know I've done this very quickly, Scarborough subway extension on the bottom 2 pictures. So very much in line with the Eglinton Crosstown, we reached financial close on an advanced tunnelling contract in May the 25th, I think, and we have been mobilising since then. Strawbag, our contractor, our partner for this project on site, significant project on site with the Premier attending site yesterday to see the piling works that are happening to facilitate the construction of a launch shaft. We're also heavily into design of power required for tunneling boring machines, power required for the site itself. We're working through the permit requirements for this job. So very accelerated construction on both Eglinton West and on Scarborough, and massive progress being made by the subways team. And with that, I'll hand it over for questions.
All right. Okay, are there any further questions to Matt? So many projects, Matt.
There's a huge amount of work. It's very difficult in 3 slides to try and give a sense of the size and the scale of what's happening out there, but the speed is quite staggering, really.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Okay, doesn't seem to be any further questions on this, Matt, so thank you very much. And we'll move on to the next presentation, and it's Let's Get Ready to Ride, and I believe Sharon is going to make this presentation.
Great, thank you very much, and good morning. I appreciate these materials have been pre-read, so I'll try and be very brief. We do have a very short video at the end to show some of the marketing work that we've recently launched to support our Ready to Ride program. As you know, our integrated team across operations, marketing and comms have been working intensely, and also with our transit partners and business associations, to welcome riders back to our services and to make that very first ride as simple and painless as possible. And it's all about the right information in the right channel at the right time. Chris, let's please go to slide 3. So our first action was to take stock of our current standing so we can ensure we address both customer concerns and their future needs. And the great news is that despite a very challenging year, we achieved an 83% customer satisfaction target. This is notably due to our complete obsession with safety through the execution and communication of all of those health and safety actions. And really the sense of confidence in this personal safety will be sure to make riders feel a lot more comfortable traveling with us again. And our Safety Never Stops initiative will continue to be of key importance. To the next slide, please. We also did some extensive research with customers on the top reasons that they're traveling or intend to travel on transit. And while many customers are enthusiastic to return, they cite that the reasons for traveling on Go will change somewhat. Business and school does represent the most absolute rider recovery opportunity, but we do expect that the shape of this travel will change with more hybrid work, flexible needs. So it's really important that frequency of service will, especially in off-peak times, will be key to recovering those riders. Secondly, we learned that leisure trips will, for the most part, be their first return to Go. So both existing and prospective customers predict they'll ride to see family during the week more often, they'll socialize with friends in the evenings and weekends, and all of this in addition to exploring the Greater Toronto and Hamilton region. And lastly, I think we all realize that there's a pent-up demand to travel both domestically and internationally. And we're also seeing a high intention to take transit to all of our region's airports. So our customers are eager to get going, and we're starting to see, just even in the last 8 weeks, week-over-week ridership gains and a 25% week-over-week increase in e-ticket sales. So everything heading in the right direction. To the next slide, please. So in addition to continuing to match our services to meet these emerging needs, our returning customers will also experience many journey improvements and new amenities as they return. They've been away for 14 months and we have accomplished a lot. These include Go Plus Wi-Fi on all vehicles, new and renovated stations, innovative retail and partner offerings, and transformations in our Presto product and digital communications experiences, because we know that there's been high adoption of self-serve and digital channel use throughout this pandemic. In addition, our Find Your Go Time campaign recently relaunched in 8 languages with new assets to help remind customers how Go can help them find more time in their day as they head back to the office. To the next slide, please. So with this intention to travel for leisure and connection being so high, 2021 is truly the summer of the staycation. And we are launching a robust 360-degree integrated marketing, communication, experiential, and promotions program called Go Beyond. And this includes partnerships with Ontario tourism offices to promote destinations such as Niagara, Hamilton, and Barrie, and activities like cycling trails, hiking paths, and all these other hidden gems that Southern Ontario has to offer, and all within minutes of a Go station or stop. And as the region reopens, we'll also launch marketing initiatives with local bars and restaurants, sporting events, tourist attractions, conferences, and all these other destinations and attractions that our customers have deemed important. So we look forward with eagerness to the return and growth of our ridership base, and we anticipate that, like us, they are also ready to ride. And with that, Chris, please, I'll ask you to play our short video.
當我哋在家工作嘅時候，你就喺前線努力，我哋衷心感激你。
You. Eto, kaunting time manood ng sikat na video sa Go Transit.
利用时间轻松一下，利用乘坐 Go 的时间。
پاها دیگه جون ندارن. كل شيفت سر کار بودین. وقتشه بهشون استراحت بدین.
لكن حان الوقت ليستريحوا. حان وقت عودتك إلى المنزل. أوجد لنفسك وقتا للراحة. أوجد وقتك على Go.
सर्वर्स को सर्विस तो कर दिया आपने, यानी लोग कनेक्ट करेंगे ऑफिस से,
ਅਤੇ ਗੋ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜ਼ਿਟ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕੋਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਆਪਣੇ ਕਨੈਕਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੀ ਪਾਲ ਕਰੋ, ਆਪਣੇ ਗੋ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੀ ਪਾਲ ਕਰੋ।
Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions for Sharon?
Just a comment, I really enjoy the sense of humor especially in the last ad, but I think there's a wonderful tone to a lot of the advertising that's really hitting really well. So kudos.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Sharon. A great presentation, and it'll be great to get everybody back on the trains and on the buses.
We can't wait. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, our next presenter is Martin Gallagher, and we're going to be talking about our level crossing photo enforcement pilot.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. This item is about public and passenger safety and continuous improvement in the way we protect train passengers and train crew and members of the public who use our grade crossings. Jocelyn McCauley and Stephen Weir from our safety and security teams will provide a brief summary of the request for the approval to the board. Jocelyn.
Thank you, Martin. Good morning, everyone. So as mentioned, my name is Jocelyn McCauley, and I'm here today with Steve Weir from Transit Safety to present to you our work in developing a grade crossing camera enforcement pilot project as part of a broader strategy to improve safety at crossing locations. And next slide, please, Chris. I'll continue on. So due to the level of risk presented at the road rail interface, Metrolinx has implemented a beyond compliance approach to managing safety at grade crossings. However, with significant growth experienced across the GTHA and an increase in coast service, the risk profile at grade crossings is changing, which could potentially lead to an increase in the likelihood of accidents and the frequency of interruptions to service if this risk is not properly assessed, managed, controlled, and/or eliminated. Next slide. So therefore, in an effort to promote continuous safety improvement, Metrolinx undertakes a wide range of activities that support safety at crossing locations, ranging from design and maintenance to education and enforcement. Next slide, please. Extensive and ongoing upgrading of crossings has also been carried out, which includes enhanced crossing features and design standards, grade separations, road closures, and pedestrian alternatives, as well as education and awareness campaigns. At the same time, in an effort to better understand driver behavior at crossings and to introduce enforcement as a control measure for reducing deliberate violations, Metrolinx Safety and Security Divisions have developed the following pilot. Next slide, please. So through the pilot, a mobile camera enforcement vehicle will be deployed to public crossing locations to record and measure road user non-compliance events. Violations recorded will be used as evidence for enforcement and will support any required legal action. Recordings will also be used to inform the development of further controls and initiatives to proactively address and deter unsafe driver behavior on and around our rail network. Next slide, please. As part of the pilot, 2 high-resolution cameras equipped with automated license plate recognition software will be affixed to a Metrolinx vehicle. This vehicle will be staffed by a transit safety officer, and the vehicle will be proactively and reactively deployed to crossing locations to observe driver behavior and record non-compliance events. Following the pilot period, evaluation of the safety benefits of the program will be undertaken, and a determination will be made around a formal business case for operationalizing a fixed and/or mobile camera enforcement program. However, in order to move forward with the pilot, staff are requesting that the board pass the new bylaw 17, which was appended to our report. So currently, under Metrolinx bylaw 2, grade crossing offenses are set out. However, the bylaw does not allow for the voluntary payment of penalties out of court for these offenses, and the current means of service of payment in service of a notice of offense is personal service, meaning that a transit safety officer must directly provide the notice to the individual. What the new bylaw will mean is it will provide a more effective means of issuing notices of contraventions to owners and operators of vehicles for vehicle-related offenses at grade crossings, and will also provide a voluntary payment framework to encourage early resolution outside of the courts. And with that, this brings us to the end of our presentation, and both Steve and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Jocelyn, I want to just ask one quick question. What the violations? Can you give us some idea of what we're facing here in terms of the number, the quantum of violations that that we have to deal with on an annual basis?
Of course. So from the period of 2018 to 2021, there were 404 observed near misses and various crossing violations. So this could be anything from an individual driving around a crossing gate, under a crossing gate, actually making contact with the crossing gate, or intentionally violating crossing rules. So anything from misuse of warning signals at crossing locations. So what we're hoping to do with this pilot is to actually better understand driver decisions at crossings and why individuals might be either deliberately or unintentionally carrying out non-compliances at grade crossings.
All right. Sylvia, you have a question.
Yeah, a quick one, Jocelyn. I'm sorry if you provided the answers, but how long is the pilot and how extensive will it be?
So the pilot will be carried out over a 6-month period. And after that period, so from beginning in July 2021 to December 2021, from there in January and February of 2022, we'll be carrying out a formal review of the pilot program and making a determination as to whether or not the pilot will move into a formal program. And we'll also be looking into whether or not the technology used for the pilot is the most efficient and effective, and whether or not there are alternative forms, whether it's a fixed enforcement with cameras affixed to posts around crossing locations or other means, or whether or not we'll move ahead with a mobile enforcement solution like we're pursuing with the pilot.
How many crossings are you looking at?
So right now, we've selected 13 crossing locations, all public crossing locations across our network. And our safety team has worked together with security and with our signaling team to determine which locations we should be deploying first.
Thank you.
Michael.
Thank you, Chair. Jocelyn, excellent report and presentation. At-grade rail crossings have always been a pet peeve of mine because it really is an old system that where rail lines have been placed. Wasn't really much thought given in terms of how the road and the rail were going to intersect. And I'm curious that will your pilot project also record the locations that are at highest risk and potentially then identify those for future grade separated projects?
Yes, so the intention through the pilot is not just a focus on enforcement and on driver behavior, it's also to look at other possible solutions for improving safety at crossing locations. So this could be anything from a grade separation to pedestrian alternatives, to actual closure of the crossing. That will all be explored through the evidence collected in the pilot.
Great, thank you.
Emily, you had a question.
Yeah, my question was just currently it's going to be they are going to be mounted cameras, and does having a car an enforcement officer sitting there, is that going to change behavior, and how have you thought about dealing with that?
So we have considered the fact that just by virtue of having the vehicle stationed at the crossing, that alone may deter individual driver behavior. So what we are looking at post-pilot is other alternatives like fixed camera solutions where the vehicle being stationed there isn't a factor. The reason we went with the mobile camera solution is it allows us with a single vehicle to, again, proactively and reactively be deployed across the network and basically begin to collect a baseline of data to go off of for when we choose whether or not to move ahead with the fixed camera solution.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Tony.
Yeah, this is an important endeavor, and from experience, my very first trip for pay as a locomotive engineer on GO Transit, I had a trespass incident at a road crossing at Hague Boulevard, and it was a fatality. And every single time I responded throughout my years of my career, I remembered that incident. So this is important for the train crews as well. And I also recommend that you solicit input from train crews. And I know we have the forward-facing cameras that help, but the train crews can also give you some insight as to the crossings that are of major concern to them as well. So that would help you decide and determine where you're going to set your cars. So I applaud you for this project, everybody. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, are there any other questions from anyone? Okay. So let's, there's a resolution here, and the resolution is basically to approve bylaw 17. So could I have a motion to that effect? Thank you, Paul. A seconder?
Happy to second it, Don.
Thank you very much, Michael. Anybody disagree with this resolution? Okay, so passed unanimously, and thank you very much for that presentation. That was terrific. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we now come to the quarterly reports of the different departments that we basically take as being read. Are there any questions that anybody has on to any of these particular departments? Tony, I'm assuming that's a legacy hand.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Paul.
Yeah, it looks like some exciting developments on the Presto Fund with respect to open payments. Maybe the team has some comments on what some of the early indicators are of that pilot.
Sure. Thank you, Paul. So we did launch contactless credit payment on Up Express in March, and so that is fully live. While ridership certainly has been somewhat diminished with regards to the pandemic, we have seen over 800 fare payments to date. So certainly going very, very well. And we're currently in a pilot for contactless debit, again in Up Express. So looking to launch both of these initiatives ultimately out to the other agencies as we head into end of year. So.
Good. Good. Lots of people are looking forward to that. Emily, you have a question.
Sure. A question for Carla on the workplace transformation. What % of our employees are currently working from home? I guess our office-based employees. Are we kind of running at 10% right now, 50%, just like a order of magnitude?
At a very high, thank you for that question. At a very high level, we have not officially returned back to work in the office. We are planning with our HR colleagues and our health and safety team to have a full return to work back in September, or is what we're planning for. And we are also looking at hybrid workplace options about having a percentage up to 2 days working from home and 3 days in the office is our current plans.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions anybody has? Okay, seeing none. We've come to the end of our agenda for the public session. So I'd like to thank those who have attended and look forward to our next meeting, which is not until September. So thank you, and we will now terminate the public session. Thank you.
Thank you.